Having stronger abilities without leveling up was actually a pretty sweet deal. It meant Jin-Woo could level up more easily later on. But at the same time he felt a little let down. He had hoped that from now on, he could turn all his daily quests into hidden ones, which would be super cool. The rewards he got were amazing though. This made him think that maybe this was a one-time thing, and it wouldn't happen again. He had to be super careful about the third reward. It was a big decision, and he might not get another chance like this again. The options were, 1 Blessed Mystery Box, 2 Cursed Mystery Box. This was the first time he'd ever seen rewards that were optional. If he picked one, he probably wouldn't get to see the other one. He wondered, if I choose one, will I miss out on the other forever? Looking at the names, it seemed like an easy choice. This could be a trap. Accept reward 3. Suddenly a message popped up. Ping. Now, you have to choose between 2 mystery boxes. The first one is called the Blessed Mystery Box. It promises to give you something you really want. The second box is the Cursed Mystery Box. It says it will give you something you need. The problem is, both options sound pretty good. If you didn't know what they meant, you might just pick the Blessed Mystery Box. But now that you do, you're not so sure. You'll probably feel a little unhappy no matter which box you choose. What if what you want isn't what you need? Or what if what you need isn't what you want? Both boxes seem tempting. But there must be a catch. Maybe the thing you want is just something you think you need right now. Imagine getting something you need, but not exactly what you want. It's like needing a weapon and getting a bomb that blows up everything in sight, including yourself. That's why people call it the Cursed Mystery Box. Who wants to take that kind of risk? It's way safer to choose a different option. Jin-Woo thought about it carefully. If he had to pick something without knowing what would happen, he'd rather choose the option that wouldn't leave him feeling regretful, no matter what. After thinking it through, he made up his mind. I'll go with the Blessed Mystery Box, he said. Suddenly, a small box appeared at his feet. He bent down to pick it up. As soon as he did, his heart started racing with excitement. Could this little box hold something amazing? He tore into the box, and his eyes grew wide with excitement. Inside, he found a shiny gold key. It was exactly what he had been hoping for, a key to a special dungeon. Suddenly a message popped up. Ping. Item. The Demon Castle's key. This key was super rare, with an acquisition difficulty of sense. It was categorized as a key, and it would unlock the door to dungeon. The Demon's Castle. He couldn't wait to see what adventures awaited him. Imagine being at Daesung Tower in Songpa-gu. Jin-Woo's voice shook a little as he said, Sarg? He wasn't sure if how hard it was to get into the dungeon meant it would be just as tough to beat. But he didn't think it was a coincidence either. When he used an E-rank key to enter a special dungeon, it was super easy, just like you'd expect from an E-rank challenge. Imagine if the dungeon was actually top-notch, S-rank level. Not even a team of the best hunters could guarantee they'd make it out alive. Their chances would be a mere 50-50. You see, gates that are B-rank or higher get ridiculously harder to beat. Only a handful of S-rank gates have ever opened worldwide, and one of them happened to be on Jeju Island. After that incident, the island became uninhabitable for humans, turning it into a no-man's land. Jin-Woo gazed at the key in his hand. Was this really what he wanted? On the bright side, the key said enter not. Take him to like the other one did. That meant he could leave whenever he felt like it, which was a big plus. Jin-Woo was all set. Even if the key vanished into thin air, he had a teleportation stone in his inventory, which meant he could escape any tricky situation, with invisible walls lurking around. It was good to have a backup plan. Now Jin-Woo could check out the dungeon, without worrying about getting stuck. His super sharp perception ability allowed him to scope out the place before deciding whether to attack. Jin-Woo's mind was made up. He had to see this through. If this key was really what he'd been searching for, it could take him to new and exciting places. He was ready to take on whatever came next. Jin-Woo stood outside Daesung Tower, eager to uncover the secrets that awaited him. His destination, the Demon's Castle. This building was a real giant, with over 100 floors that seemed to touch the sky. The name skyscraper fit it perfectly. Jin-Woo felt dizzy just looking up at its towering height. Since it was nighttime, the streets were pretty empty, which gave them a spooky feel. But Jin-Woo wasn't taking any chances. He glanced around cautiously, then pulled his hood up to cover his head. Imagine someone vanishing and reappearing out of thin air without using a door. It's bound to cause a commotion. Being careful was a good idea. especially since cameras were watching everything that happened. And guess what? Someone was actually keeping an eye on Jin-Woo right then. But who was this mysterious person? They were lurking around the building, wearing a hood in the middle of the night, which seemed really suspicious. The security guard inside the building jumped up from his seat, ready to confront Jin-Woo. He started to head for the door, but then he froze. His eyes went wide with surprise. "What's going on?" he stuttered. The guard spun around and ran out of the building. The person he had seen walking towards him had vanished into thin air. The security guard searched high and low, but he was completely alone. No people, no animals, not even a tiny ant was in sight. He spun around, shaking his head in confusion. "This is weird," he muttered to himself. Just as he was about to go back inside the building, something caught his eye. He turned to look and let out a blood-curdling scream. A bluff. The guard fell to the ground, his face pale with fear. "What is that?" he cried out. In front of him, a human hand seemed to be floating in midair. Then just as suddenly, it vanished. Jin-Woo pulled his hand back, realizing that this place was connected to the outside world. Unlike last time, there was no barrier blocking it. The key was still safely tucked away in his pocket, which meant he had a way out of this place whenever he wanted. He felt a surge of hope. "I have a way out of here." But he was also being super careful, thinking that maybe how hard it was to get the keys said something about how tough this dungeon really was. He slowly pulled back his hood and turned around. What he saw made him want to let out a frustrated groan. As Jin-Woo took a few steps forward, everything around him transformed. The familiar spot where D&C Tower once stood was now unrecognizable. It was like he had entered a completely different world. A gigantic spire towered above him, its peak disappearing into the sky. The spire looked more like a tower from medieval times than a castle. Flames that were almost black and red engulfed the tower, making it a pretty eerie sight. Jin-Woo wondered, was this some kind of dungeon? As Jin-Woo approached the mysterious building, he noticed something weird. It wasn't burning down, but instead, the flames seemed to be a part of its structure. A towering tower of fire would be a way cooler name than the demon's castle. Jin-Woo's curiosity got the best of him, and he started walking towards the fiery tower. Febos. The sound of the crackling flames grew louder with every step. He wondered, can I really go inside? But even if it was possible, there was a big problem waiting for him. This dungeon was set up just like D&C Tower, which meant it was going to be a long challenge. To beat it, Jin-Woo would have to get through 100 levels. A pretty crazy task. He had no idea how long it would take him to finish. Just as he was thinking about this, Jin-Woo suddenly stopped in his tracks. He felt a strong presence lurking near the door. Jin-Woo scanned the area, his eyes locking onto a huge black animal. It was as big as a cow, and was curled up near the door, fast asleep. He slowly reached for Kasuka's venom fang, a powerful dagger that could paralyze its victims. With a quiet ping, the dagger appeared in his hand. Kasuka's venom fang was a special weapon made from the venomous fang of a Kasuka. It packed a punch with an attack power boost of 125. But what made it really useful was its ability to cause paralysis and drain the enemy's health. When used, it would stop the opponent in their tracks for a while and slowly drain their health away. Jin-Woo had found this dagger to be super helpful in battles. Even though its attack power wasn't the strongest, he thought that if he could just paralyze the big animal, he might have a chance to defeat it easily. Jin-Woo began to creep towards the creature, trying his best to be quiet. But he knew it wouldn't be easy. The monster would surely catch his scent and wake up soon. Jin-Woo's eyes locked onto a massive dog with 3 heads. The creature sniffed the air, then stood up on its feet. Jin-Woo clicked his tongue in annoyance. The 3 heads swiveled towards him, and he saw the words Hell's Gatekeeper Cerberus written in red letters above it. That was proof this monster was super strong. Jin-Woo wondered if Cerberus was as powerful as the centipedes he had encountered in the penalty zone. Those creatures' names were also written in red. But Jin-Woo wasn't the same person he used to be. He had been really weak back then. Only level 1 and had to run away from those centipedes. Now though he had leveled up fast and was much stronger. The monster in front of him looked tough. But Jin-Woo didn't feel scared. Jin-Woo's sharp senses kicked in, telling him he had this under control. All those points he'd spent on his perception stat were finally paying off. He could size up a situation and decide whether to fight or flee. Just then, Cerberus let out a fierce growl. Jarrell. The monster bared its teeth, warning Jin-Woo to back off. But Jin-Woo wasn't afraid. He snuck a quick glance at the monster's tail, trying to get a better read on the situation. Jin-Woo stared at the creature in front of him. It was super long and thin, like a whip with a fiery tip that looked really hot. Jin-Woo's eyes sparkled with excitement as he took in the details. The creature had sharp teeth in the tail, which made Jin-Woo think it could attack in at least 2 different ways. Jin-Woo gulped nervously as the creature, a giant dog-like monster called Cerberus, stopped right in front of him. It seemed to be checking him out, looking for his weaknesses. Is it trying to find my weak spot? Jin-Woo wondered. Before he could figure it out, Cerberus suddenly charged at him with a loud growl. Jin-Woo looked really shaken. Wow, it's fast, he thought. Cerberus jumped up, its sharp teeth snapping wildly. But Jin-Woo dodged just in time by sliding underneath the creature. As soon as Cerberus landed, it spun around, and its 3 mouths snapped wildly at Jin-Woo. The sound was terrifying row, R. Its sharp teeth glinted in the light, making them look even more deadly. Suddenly a ping sounded, and a message appeared. The buff for title, Wolf Assassin, has now been activated. Title, Wolf Assassin. This title was given to skilled wolf hunters, and it gave Jin-Woo a big boost. His abilities increased by 40% when fighting animal-type monsters. Jin-Woo felt a surge of excitement, and his body felt lighter. Great, he thought. He kept backing away while swinging his dagger at Cerberus, which was trying to knock him down. The dagger sliced through the air. Shoo-up, shoo-up. The sound of clashing teeth and metal filled the air. Clang, see-clang. Jin-Woo's eyes widened as Cerberus's dagger flashed through the air, its speed making it almost invisible. He raised his hands just in time to block the attack, but barely. Even with a special power boost, Jin-Woo was struggling to keep up. The monster was way faster and more agile than he had anticipated. Jin-Woo decided to try something new. He used his murderous intent skill, hoping it would give him an edge. But just as he did, a message popped up. Skill, Murderous Intent has been activated. The debuff has been cancelled out by the opponent's high resistance level. Jin-Woo's eyes went wide in surprise. What? It didn't work. Cerberus saw its chance and swung its long tail like a whip, cracking it down with a loud chalak. Jin-Woo ducked just in time, but as he did, his feet stopped moving. Cerberus quickly took advantage of the opening, ready to strike again. Jin-Woo was in big trouble. One of Cerberus's heads chomped down on his left shoulder, and he let out a loud aerug. But Jin-Woo didn't give up. With all his strength, he stabbed his dagger right between the creature's eyes. The sound of the dagger hitting its mark was loud and sharp. The attack should have paralyzed Cerberus, but it was too strong. It shook off the effects and kept fighting. Jin-Woo tried to drain Cerberus's energy, but again, the creature's high resistance made it useless. Just when things seemed hopeless, Cerberus let out a high-pitched yelp and released Jin-Woo from its grip. He took advantage of the momentary distraction to escape. Luckily, he got away before the other heads could join in and make things even worse. Jin-Woo managed to minimize the damage, but he knew he had to be more careful if he wanted to survive this battle. Jin-Woo's left shoulder was a mess. Cerberus had bitten down hard, and now Jin-Woo couldn't even move his arm. He tried to flex it, but nothing happened. He gritted his teeth in pain. Jin-Woo had hurt Cerberus a bit, but he'd gotten hurt way worse. Things would be different if his powers, paralysis and drain, had worked, but they didn't, and now Jin-Woo was in trouble. He glared at Cerberus, angry and frustrated. Suddenly Cerberus's eyes glowed bright red. The dog let out a loud growl, and Jin-Woo felt a chill run down his spine. What was going on? A message popped up. Hell's Gatekeeper Cerberus had used the skill Rage. For the next 3 minutes, Cerberus would be in a state of fury. Its abilities would be twice as strong, and it wouldn't feel any pain. Jin-Woo's eyes widened in shock. What? He cried out. He couldn't believe it. A monster could use a special power. Before Jin-Woo could react, Cerberus charged at him. The dog was fast, and soon it was right in front of Jin-Woo. Jin-Woo's heart sank as he thought, oh no. Jin-Woo swung his dagger as fast as he could, but it only barely touched the monster's head. Cerberus, with its 3 scary mouths, attacked him all at once. Jin-Woo cried out in pain as the monster bit down on his neck, side and thigh at the same time. Cerberus slammed him against the castle door, making a loud wham sound. Jin-Woo's health points dropped to almost 0 in an instant. He was left with only 411 out of 3622 HP, just when things seemed hopeless. Jin-Woo's special skill, willpower, kicked in. Since his health was extremely low, this skill reduced the damage he took by half. This saved him from dying instantly. Jin-Woo gritted his teeth and endured the pain. He knew he had to stay focused if he wanted to survive. Jin-Woo had been counting down the seconds until Cerberus's powerful skill would wear off. Finally, after what felt like forever, 3 minutes passed. 17:8, 17:9, 18:8. Now was his chance. He decided to use his last trick. Jin-Woo chose to accept a reward he had saved from earlier, instead of using it right away. This was reward 1, and he hoped it would turn the battle in his favor. A bright blue light engulfed Jin-Woo's body, and he felt his strength return. His HP was back to full 3602. Out of 3602. The wound on his shoulder was completely healed. Jin-Woo's eyes sparkled with determination. It's now or never, he thought. He knew that no matter how fast his opponent was, it couldn't dodge attacks at such a close distance. With lightning speed, Jin-Woo wrapped his left arm around Cerberus's neck and plunged the deadly Kasaka's venom fang into its throat. The sound of the stab was loud and clear. Shock. 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 Cerberus's rage seemed to fade away, and it started to struggle wildly to break free from Jin-Woo's grip. The beast let out high-pitched yips. Yip, 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 yip. But Jin-Woo held tight. His arm locked around its neck like a vice. Cerberus was trapped and it couldn't escape. Jin-Woo gripped Cerberus tightly, refusing to let go. The more the beast struggled, the harder he held on. With swift and deadly precision, Jin-Woo stabbed Cerberus in the neck over and over. The sound of clashing filled the air. Shush, 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 shush. Cerberus yelped in pain. Jin-Woo, shush, shush. In a desperate last attempt, Cerberus bit down on Jin-Woo. But it was too late. The battle was already won. Shush, shush, shush. Jin-Woo, shush. Kasaka's venom fang sliced through Cerberus's neck and down to its chest. The beast let out one final cry. Shush, shush, shush. As the life faded from its body, Cerberus's flailing slowed. Shush, shush, shush. You have leveled up. Jin-Woo's level skyrocketed, jumping up by 4 levels all at once. The battle was super tough. Jin-Woo finally let go of Cerberus's neck when he saw the creature's body go limp. With a thud, Cerberus dropped to the ground. Jin-Woo put his hands on his knees and breathed out a huge sigh of relief. Phew. He was glad it was over. That monster had a special power, and if Jin-Woo didn't have his own secret weapon, he would be dead for sure. Just thinking about it gave him chills. But now that the fight was won, Jin-Woo remembered something important. Items. Were they worth all the trouble he just went through? After catching his breath, Jin-Woo reached out to Cerberus's lifeless body. Suddenly he heard a ping. A message appeared. You have discovered item, Warden's Collar. You've stumbled upon some awesome items. There's a key to the castle door, and Cerberus's fangs. Do you want to pick them up? All of these cool things are now yours. A steel collar that belonged to Cerberus, a gray key, and 3 sharp fangs. Let's take a closer look at what you've got. There's the Warden's Collar, which is really rare and hard to get. It's a special collar that gives you a boost in agility and perception. With this collar, you'll be quicker and more aware of your surroundings. Then there's the castle door key. This key is super important because it unlocks the door to the demon's castle. Now you can finally get inside. You can get Cerberus's fangs only after defeating the gatekeeper. Jin-Woo's eyes widened with excitement as he checked out his new prize. The collar was seriously cool. It would boost his agility and perception by 20. This item was a big deal, with an A-rank acquisition difficulty, the toughest one he'd seen so far. It made sense, though. Taking down that fierce dog wasn't easy. But even with its awesome powers, Jin-Woo was hesitant to put on the collar. Jin-Woo stared at the weird dog collar in his hands. It was a metal band with spikes on it. Not exactly the most comfortable-looking thing. He closed his eyes, wondering if he should really wear it. After a moment he decided to give it a try. As he held the collar up to his neck, a message suddenly appeared. Pulking. Would you like to put on item? Warden's Collar. Jin-Woo thought about it some more, then shrugged. Sure, he said, not exactly excited. The collar disappeared from his hands, and reappeared around his neck. Huh? Jin-Woo was surprised. He quickly checked his stats to see what was going on. His stat screen popped up. Strength 60, Stamina 39, Agility 80, Intelligence 37, Perception 67. He had no available ability points, But then he saw the cool part. Physical damage reduced by 20%. And that wasn't all. His agility and perception had both gone up by 20 points. Whoa, Jin-Woo exclaimed, amazed at the sudden boost. The boost kicked in right away. And to Jin-Woo's relief, the item was invisible when he wore it. No more worrying about walking around with a dog collar around his neck. Next up, he wanted to sell Cerberus's fangs. He checked the shop and found out that each fang could be sold for 15,000 gold. Since he had 3 fangs, that meant he'd make a total of 45,000 gold. His new balance was 362 gold. So why were these random fangs worth so much? It all came down to one thing. They were a great way to figure out how tough a dungeon really was. The demon's castle was seriously tough. But that wasn't all bad news for Jin-Woo. He had made a ton of money by killing just one monster here, 4 times more than he would have made at the Hapjeong Station dungeon, where he usually spent his days grinding away. If he kept raking in the gold like this, he'd be able to buy some really cool and expensive items from the shop soon. Jin-Woo's eyes locked onto the flaming tower, a fierce determination burning inside him. If I can clear this dungeon. He gazed up at the tower, its top hidden in a thick fog. Fov W. He had no idea what was waiting for him on the other side of the door. He shook his head, thinking not yet. It had been a tough fight just to get past the gatekeeper. He had used a special reward from a quest and a power boost from his title to win. Now he was wondering what other dangers might be lurking behind the door. He decided it was time to call it quits for the day. One thing was certain though. Jin-Woo's eyes widened as he gazed at the castle door key. It was exactly what he had been searching for. A treasure trove of surprises. This mysterious box was like a dream come true, filled with possibilities for leveling up, scoring amazing items and raking in gold. He couldn't wait to get his hands on all of it. But for now he had to be patient. With a hint of disappointment, Jin-Woo tucked the gray key into his inventory and made a promise to himself. I'll be back, and soon. A smile spread across his face as he walked away. The next few days were pretty uneventful. Every day, Jin-Woo would call Jin-Woo to fill him in on his progress, keeping him updated on what was happening. Jin-Woo's phone had rung exactly 3 times since he last met with Jin-Woo. Each time it was the same routine.
It's me, Jin-Woo, he'd say.
Jin-Woo would reply, get to the point. And Jin-Woo would quickly respond with a yes sir. Jin-Woo seemed to have no trouble finding people to join his team. He just kept asking Jin-Woo to be patient, saying they were almost ready. It was like he thought Jin-Woo might back out if he didn't keep him on the hook. But Jin-Woo couldn't just sit around and wait. So he decided to check out the Hunter's website today to see what was going on. Jin-Woo was on the hunt for a strike squad to join, but it seemed like no one wanted him. He was just an E-rank hunter, after all. Luckily that first day had been a fluke. Dong-suk had helped him out, and Jin-Woo had gotten to experience being part of a team. Even if Dong-suk had his own reasons for doing so, it had worked out pretty well for Jin-Woo. He'd earned some cash, leveled up, and even learned a new skill. So should Jin-Woo be grateful to Dong-suk for giving him that chance? Jin-Woo let out a snicker. Not caring if he ran into any more shady scam hunters, he was having a tough time finding work as a freelancer. And the association wasn't calling him back. To make things worse, he had used up all his instance dungeon keys. Now he was just trying to pass the time. His stomach started growling, reminding him it was time to eat. Jin-Woo stopped searching online, and headed to the kitchen to grab something to fill his empty belly. But when he opened the fridge, he was greeted by emptiness. He had been so caught up in everything that had happened over the past few days, that he had forgotten to go grocery shopping.